like to call to order the meeting Monday, April 9th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Councilmember Stipp.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for bringing us together again as we come off a very important weekend for us. Please be with this council as we try to do your work here. Please be with those that are doing work for us on your behalf. We ask that you give them strength and courage to move forward. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman. All right, Councilman Gary Gilzer is not here this evening, so I need a motion to excuse Councilman Gilzer.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Stipp and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. On the communication, we have two communication items tonight. We'll start out with Earth Day proclamation, Parish Spies.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The mayor issued a proclamation to celebrate Earth Day, which will be the 42nd Earth Day on April 22nd. The first one was April 22nd, 1970. And we sent this out to the Earth Day organization in Washington, D.C., but I'll just read a little bit of it. Whereas the global community now faces extraordinary challenges such as global health issues, food and water shortages, and whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, or geography, have a moral right to a healthy, sustainable environment, and whereas it is understood that the citizens of the global community must step forward to take action to combat the aforementioned global challenges. Furthermore, let it be known that the City of Goodyear hereby encourages its residents, businesses, and institutions to use Earth Day to celebrate the Earth and to commit to building a sustainable environment. Given by the hand of Mayor Georgia Lord for the 22nd of April, 2012. But I do want to share some of the things that the City of Goodyear has done to support sustainable environment. And I got this information from Mark Flynn in Public Works. So the City of Goodyear is doing our part. We use reclaimed water for irrigation in many medians, some parks, and the Goodyear Recreational Complex. We're close to about 100 vehicles in the fleet which run on cleaner burning ethanol. We've upgraded several air conditioning units to boost the seasonal energy efficiency ratio, also known as SEER, for improved energy efficiency. We've installed occupancy sensors in many city facilities to enhance lighting efficiency by turning off lighting when no one is present. We've also right-sized the fleet. Many vehicles now are using increased fuel efficiency, and which has decreased greenhouse gas emissions. And we also participate in the APS demand reduction program for the past 2 years. So we're doing a lot to sustain the environment.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Parish. The second one is the volunteer survey results. Judy why can't I ever pronounce your name? Swastanik.
Mayor, just think of the Titanic, like Swatanic.
Not
that I'm going down, but wait, I hope that's not a
I hope
thing
we
was going to happen.
We don't mean anything personal on
that. Mayor, Council, Interim City Manager, and guests, it's my pleasure to come to you tonight to give you an update on our survey. We've had our survey, or our volunteers program going for 5 years, and so we sent out our first survey last year in 2011 to get some information back, and we are happy to be here to report these for you. Okay, here, okay, there we go. Some of the objectives that we have was just we wanted to figure out how we can grow and improve the program. It's just doesn't matter what program you have, everything can be made better, and so this was our objective, to talk to them and see, what they would like to see. Some of the survey details that we got back from this was really informative. Right now we have over 800 employees, volunteers that at one time or another have shared their time and talent with the city. So that's, really encouraging, and we continue to grow. We had a good response of 20%, which I thought was great. It's nice to see that half it's pretty much evenly split, half female, half male that are participating in our program, and which is always good. I enjoy hearing that. This one here you can see from the largest 3 groups that we have, obviously is 55 to 75 and older. The majority are retirees, but I think we do have a good representation from those 24 and under, 18 that even. We have high school students, youth that are participating in a lot of our programs. So even though this particular one, probably they have more time on their hands to have answered the survey, I know that we do have a lot of young people that are also involved with us. Again, our less than high school, that would be those youth, I think is underrepresented in this thing, but you can also from this graph that we have. But, some college, everything. It was interesting to find out, what kind of participates we have. There were some, the majority of our volunteers are in the spring training to help with that. This year we had active volunteers that helped in spring training. We're 154. Which was really good. And over the 30 days, I'm sure they needed every one of the 154 to help them get through that. But there's, they're involved with GAIN, Make a Difference Day, Adopt a Park, Adopt a Street, painting fire hydrants. There's all different kinds of activities that they get involved in. What I love to see about this is that on a scale from 1 to 4, you really have, everybody is interested in giving back to their community. They really want to make a difference. They really want to better, the place that they enjoy with their family and friends, and really doing something. So, and everybody's really, I think, really involved and a big commitment. So I'm really proud about that. Some of the things that they listed, other than why they wanted to give back and be involved, is I love this one, to have fun, and that's a good thing. It's just like when we have a job. It's not a job if you're having fun, if you really enjoy it. So I think that's what's important. They don't feel like, oh, I have to show up, I have to do this. They go out there because they want to have fun. They want to give back to the community, which I thought was great, and to feel like they're part of the community. And the last one is I'd love to is keeping our city clean, graffiti-free, and saving it money, which is always nice for us. They definitely said that they would recommend this to a friend, which I was really encouraged to see, that, hey, I had a great experience. I really liked doing and helping City of Goodyear. Tell a friend, and they want to help next year too. And that's how we grow our program, is getting people involved. Some of the suggestions that they have is, keep up the good work. We like what you're doing. And I think that some things here, you can see better food, shade for ushers. Obviously, that was the ballpark. Ballpark is excellent about taking all the different suggestions every year and improving and always doing something new and better for their volunteers, which is great. And training, we want to see if we can involve that. Different things that they said that they would like to do is, having website. There's some things on the suggestion here that we'll be taking into consideration for next year, how we can make it better for them, and how I can improve my program. And here's some of the suggestions that, in addition to mine, that I would like to see if we can develop. I'd like to have for those people that are working in city offices, to have some type of volunteer orientation that when they come in, to help them. Linking the things on the website, the volunteer opportunities. We're in the process of doing that now, and then they can actually sign up online, and we can get the list going that way, which I think would be on an ongoing basis. And I really could use any kind of help from any of the departments, that if they have suggestions, maybe they, we can list those to the departments. Right now, we're thanking our volunteers by, we have the thank you party that's coming up next week. I send out a quarterly Voluntarily Yours newsletter that goes out to everybody with pictures and different things that are happening, thank yous. Thank yous, if they worked a special event, I have email addresses and I send that to them too. We also do In Focus. I try to highlight a volunteer every month and give them recognition for that. These are over the last 12 months, all the different departments that have used volunteers, and it's growing. I think we're pretty much every department, but we, it's a good representation. We have volunteers working in pretty much every department, which is good. the other volunteer opportunities that we've had, you can see here, which is great. The Adopt a Park program has probably been going 2 or 3 years. Councilman Osborne, Vice Mayor Osborne, thank you for your group. The White Teen Council has adopted a park in the past. We appreciate that. Adopt a Street is a new program that we just started, and right now we have 8 streets adopted. And our engineering department actually adopted a street, which is awesome. Boards Commission, graffiti busters, everybody's making a difference in the city. Calculated from last April through just ending a couple weeks ago, the hours, we had, I think, very impressive, 21,980 hours of service, which is pretty awesome when you take into consideration. That's a lot of hours, people out there working. And the savings to the city is based on the independent sector they have, which most nonprofit and government agencies use to calculate the value and savings to the city. So this is where we came up with 469,503, and to be exact, 48 cents. We have, I know all of you should have received your invitation. Next week is National Volunteer Appreciation Week for the whole week, and I look forward to seeing all of you at the event next Friday, where we'll be thanking all our volunteers in any way that they've helped us. So thank you for the things. It's going to be Goodyear Volunteers Rock, and look forward to seeing you all then. I appreciate your time. Any questions?
Any questions from council? Any comments?
No,
Joe?
Again, I want to thank you and your organization, and the volunteers for everything they do. I had the opportunity to go behind the scenes at the ballpark, I guess a few weeks ago. And I was impressed by the quality of the volunteers, the smiles, the pleasantries, how customer service they were focused, how they wanted to help. Could say nothing, but really positive things about the volunteers we have working for us. I would just like to say is I really appreciate this presentation, and maybe at some time within the In Focus, it would be really nice to cover all of the, because I didn't realize all of the areas that you cover and the number of hours. I think we really got to give some kudos to our community for those people stepping up and doing this. This is fantastic. To me, this is what Goodyear is all about. These people actually stepping up, giving their time, and trying to make it a better place. So again, thank you, and thank those volunteers that step up. Really appreciate that effort.
Thank you, Councilman Basillo.
Thank you.
Councilman Campbell?
Thank you. Judy, as you know, I started as a volunteer with the city. Started with GAIN and started with one of the first volunteer in police service. And I wanted to thank you for all you do for those of us that were the volunteers, because we knew we had some place to go to ask questions, and we knew we had someone that would place us where the need was the greatest in the city. I'm sorry I will not be at the celebration.
I know,
I'm
I
so
saw
sorry.
that.
I'm going to be out of state that night, but thank you for that. And we think that the volunteers are looking forward to this fun party. It's always a lot of fun. So thank you, and thank you for everything everyone does, because it makes our city such a better place to live, to have all of this wonderful active participation, and makes them appreciate what we do collectively as a city to make it run the way it does. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman
Thank you,
Campbell.
Councilman Campbell. Vice Mayor Osborne?
I just want to echo everything that was said, and I know that we have outstanding citizens in our town, and I like to feel that we have the best ones of a city that's in Arizona, and so I appreciate that. And I really, Judy, I know that you have really led the charge on this, and I think you've done an outstanding job.
Thank you,
Good job.
Councilman. Thank you. You know, what's encouraging is I was going to say is that I love how, I have like Boy Scout groups and Girl Scout troops, and I have all these little kids that are coming out with their families to help and participate. So we're starting young, and everybody's getting involved. It's families, it's churches. It's just such a heartwarming thing that, and they all, they love Goodyear, and so that's such a great
You
feeling.
have a happy job.
I love it. Yeah.
Councilwoman Loretano?
I just want to say thank you, and we'll get our Brownie troop to adopt one of the streets up by us.
Yay.
So
Well, okay. Adopt a street, we'll have to talk, because it's only 18 or older. 18 or
Oh,
older.
we can't
Just
adopt a
because
street?
You can, a park?
I think the Boy Scouts already took the park.
Oh, no, I still have a park available.
Oh, okay. I have another park. Give me a call. She'll find me a park.
I can find a park.
Councilman Stiff?
Judy, I know that there's a section in historic Goodyear that was, I'm going to say, falling into disrepair. And you had arranged for some volunteers and did some work to help beautify that area. That it's kind of a no man's land right of way. And I know the sanitation folks from Public Works made an initial clean, and I think they've been working with you and your folks to get that done. And I just want to express how important that is to the folks in historic Goodyear, how much they really appreciate that, and I know that they're out there volunteering, but to have the community come together and support the historic part of the city is really, really important. So again, as everybody, thank you.
Thank
And
you to all
Judy,
our volunteers.
Finally, I just want to echo all the compliments to you and to your entire team, to include all the volunteers. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the time for citizens who would like to address the city council on any non-agenda item. Do we have any cards?
Yes, we do. We have two.
Okay.
First one is Julio Iglesias.
Before you begin, I just want to repeat these, your time, as you well know, but you've been up here many times, so I know you know this, but please identify yourself and your address. And of course, as you know, we cannot respond to criticism. We can respond to criticism. We request the staff investigate, report on a matter. We request that the matter be scheduled on a future agenda. So you have the floor.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor and distinguished council members. My name is Julio Iglesias, 2009 North 161st Drive in Goodyear. Recently, another lawsuit was filed against the city of Goodyear, this one by former Police Sergeant David Bryant. Among other things, Bryant contends that he was wrongfully prosecuted when Goodyear alleged he falsified timesheets, accusing him of theft. Bryant claims that a city computer he used at work contained information that would prove he was on duty at the times Goodyear claimed otherwise. However, after Bryant's departure from the PD, that very computer was mysteriously wiped clean and destroyed, according to Goodyear. Amazingly, the evidence that would have exonerated Bryant was destroyed by the very entity that sought to prosecute him. I want to know if the contents of Bryant's computer proved to be decidedly inconvenient for Goodyear's so-called case against him. Justifiably, all charges against Bryant were eventually dismissed by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office in the interest of justice, but several questions remain. Which city employee destroyed the evidence? Who gave the authority and the direction to do it? And more importantly, why? Who else had knowledge of this illegal activity, and will anyone be held accountable for this criminal act? What role did the Legal Services Department have in this bungled mess? Consider another Goodyear legal problem. The Wood family lawsuit cost this city over $1 million of the taxpayers' money, including $400,000 in private attorney fees. By all accounts, it appears that Goodyear did not receive sound legal services regarding this fiasco. Collectively, the current lawsuits by Shea Pendleton, Terry Woodmansey, Roger Matlin, and now Dave Bryant will likely cost Goodyear millions of dollars. Additionally, John Rowan just alluded to his inevitable lawsuit in a newspaper article regarding his controversial firing. What kind of legal services is Goodyear receiving in all of these embarrassing scandals? And yet another legal misstep, the City Council purportedly received only the 38-page summary of the Charlton report instead of the entire damaging 763-page report. Were you intentionally kept in the dark by the Legal Services Department, or is that just an oversight? Does anybody in this city have the right to know what is really going on in Goodyear, or would that also be decidedly inconvenient? Relative to all the scandalous firings, lawsuits, and resignations, Goodyear unfortunately has become the punchline for jokes in the subject of several derisive and humiliating articles, editorials, and cartoons in the local newspapers. All of this is due in large part to the incompetency of the Legal Services Department. The city attorney is in charge of legal services and therefore ultimately responsible for these incessant legal debacles. It is inconceivable that anyone could be satisfied with his performance. The former police chief, the former police commander, and the former city manager were all eventually held accountable for their mistakes. It's time you do the same with Rorick Massey and hold him accountable for his mistakes and make him the former city attorney. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Terry Woodmansey.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, my name is Terry Woodmansey. I live in Buckeye, Arizona. I'm here today just to remind you that 4 years ago, on April 6, 2008, a young 18-year-old boy lost his life, Jared Pendleton. His family and friends created a memorial on the south side of Yuma, where he died that day. That site has been desecrated 3 separate times. I'm not talking just a stolen cross. I'm talking about the individual or individuals responsible have intentionally, violently broken, torn apart, and strewn that memorial site. In my 9 years working at the City of Goodyear as a victim advocate, I went out with many families to put crosses up. I never had them report to me this kind of damage. It is a heinous crime, and it is a debacle. It is a sadness to this family. It's an intentional, hideous attack on them, and it's wrong. It has been reported to your chief of police, and we ask that you continue to look into this. We have recreated this cross site, and we will be watching, because if the police department can't find out who's doing it, we will. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody who would like to speak on a non-agenda item? All right, with that, we'll go to the consent agenda, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read the consent agenda item A.
Item A, approved draft minutes of a special meeting held on March 19th, 2012, and a regular meeting and a special meeting held on March 26th, 2012.
Could I hear a motion to accept the minutes, and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Vice Mayor Osborne. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Osborne,
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano,
Aye.
Mayor Lord,
Aye.
passes 6-0.
There are no items, thank you very much. There are no items on the business agenda, so we're going to go to information items. Does the council have any information items they'd like to share? Yes, Councilman Campbell.
I'd like to share 2 items, if I may, Mayor. On behalf of the Centennial Committee, I would like to invite all of the Goodyear citizens and our council to attend the Pebble Creek Classic Car Show and Model Train Show, which will be held in our ballpark stadium on Saturday, April the 21st, from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Admission is free, however, food will be sold. We will also have a book sale by the Goodyear Friends of the Library.
Yay.
So we're excited about that. But this is the first time that our classic car show has paired with a model train show. So it should be really a lot of fun. They're going to actually have trains running and have a model train part swap meet. And also I was told that if you have old trains and you don't know if they're worth anything, bring them in your box and someone will look at them and tell you if they're worth anything. So I have a box of trains. We've moved in the 45 years my husband and I have been married, and it's going to the swap meet to see if it's worth anything, because he had it as a kid. I would also like to tell you that I had the pleasure to go with our mayor to ASU Technology campus at the Williams Gateway Airport, and what a phenomenal facility that is. But most importantly, that was my 6th GPEC session, so I have qualified to be now a GPEC ambassador, so I'm really excited.
Congratulations. We're going to put
Thank
you
you.
to work now, you know that. Next, Vice Mayor Osborne.
Yes, I attended, actually myself and Mr. Pizzillo attended the Southwest Valley Local Transit Summit. This was a regional Southwest Valley little summit with Avondale and Litchfield Park and Buckeye and Goodyear. And we broke up into groups that kind of brainstormed looking at a large regional map, areas that we felt were regional transportation issues and neighborhood circulatory issues, things like that. And it was very helpful. And I thought that one thing that did come back out of it that I know my own team had brought up was an alternate transportation route for truck traffic off of the I-10 to try to move them further over, away from the main traffic. And really, as we look at, it was a 25 to 50 year look at transportation. And as always, I like to say, we have to stop looking at future transit around the car. It needs to be around the pedestrian, and it needs to be thought out in a mass transit rail bus system rather than, people in their vehicles. And that's just something we need to do for the future. And I did want to kind of give a shout out to all of this week is Fair Week, and we out here in the Southwest Valley do still have a large Future Farmers of America and 4-H group, and the pigs and the cows and the sheep are all going to fair this week, and so I want to wish them best of luck. And also we have a lot of schools that have testing going on this week, Ames testing and different things like that, and so parents, make your kids go to bed on time and have a good breakfast. That's it.
Next, Councilman Stipp.
I attended the CDAC meeting a couple of weeks ago on Councilmember Campbell's behalf, and it was, I think, for the first time in their history, if I'm going to say this correctly, that all of the grant requests were all funded. There wasn't a knockdown, drag-out fight among the communities involved in CDAC, which is kind of nice to see that everybody really paid attention. The fact that we did not put a CDAC request in this year was appreciated by many of the communities that needed to finish. So I really wanted to.
Oh, so you didn't have to fight. That's
I didn't have to fight.
Ah, okay.
But I did want to congratulate
That's why Wally let
Councilmember
you
Campbell. Yeah. I thought it was being set up, but no, she did a great job long before that. So I thought that was pretty noteworthy. Speaking of volunteers, there was an opportunity for the boards and commissions to attend a spring training game. Councilman Gelzer and I were there to welcome the folks from the various boards and commissions that serve in a different type of volunteer capacity for us. I know they were very appreciative of the opportunity to be at the ballpark and go through it. It was a very nice thing for the city to do for those folks who give a lot of time as well. And then finally, Councilman Pizzillo, Councilman Gelzer, and myself took a tour of the Southwest Advocacy Center, located next to City Hall, and it was an extremely interesting tour. It was extremely sad that we have to have a place like that. The good news for them, and I guess you can look at that how you want to, they're moving into a larger facility. But they're picking up additional partners as well. And while it's sad that we have to have it, I'm glad that we're addressing it, and that the Sheriff's Office and City of Surprise, and there was a third agency that is joining our police department along with Buckeye and Avondale in that already to make it even better and more effective.
Great. Good. Yes, Councilman Pizzillo.
Just forgot about one thing. A shout out to the fire department charity event Saturday, golf event. Was it $12,000 roughly? $12,000 for their charity was raised. Filled a couple courses up there at the Wigwam, and I guess what the beneficiary. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've got the homeless youth. We've got New Life Center, and there's one I'm missing there.
The Burn Center.
Burn Institute. So again, thank the guys for the event. It was a great turnout and a lot of money raised for charity.
Great. Well, I guess I'm last, but I was invited for a repeat performance to Australia Foothills Honor Government class, Mr. Diller's class, talking about the City Council, about politics. and they're always very receptive, which was quite striking in this class. Half of the class were 18-year-olds. So they're in the advanced class, and so we talked about responsibility of voting and how important it is to register. So when you get that opportunity from the schools, go in. It's very rewarding. I had the honor of introducing our governor this week as she attended Pebble Creek event. And it was, I don't know, 200 people there? At least some of the rest of you were there. And she certainly received a warm welcome. And I'm not going to tell you the story, but she told the true story of the finger pointing. So you missed that, and it would be nice to see her put that in printing someday. But it was very interesting because it was absolutely opposite what the news media said. The other thing I just wanted to talk about is the opening day of the Little League. And that was this week, and I did not throw out the first pitch. I surprised Jennifer Campbell. As you know, Jennifer's going to be leaving our Parks and Recreation Department to go to Maricopa City to work, and so we surprised her at the last minute and called her up. So it was an emotional time for her. I just want you to know this year we have 510 participating in this 4 to 14-year-old boys and girls. We have 38 different team levels. We have 250 volunteers. Of course, the president, Scott Trice, and vice is Mark Vanderwerf. And you know what really struck me is that I actually helped start the Little League. And when Sue Liddy was on, before she went off the council, she and I met with a Little League guy one day at the park. And he proceeded to tell us how we were not going to be able to accomplish this, and especially not in 6 months. He said, it's going to take you at least a year. Well, we accomplished it in 6 months. And I reminded the board, who is still active, the same people are active, the same dedicated mothers and fathers, and some of them don't even have anybody in Little League right now, are still the original board. And we met at the Hoot and Owl. We couldn't get any meeting place, so we met at the Hoot and Owl. First we were in the restaurant area, and then they put us in that little room. We were all very good. But that's how it began, and so it just brought back great memories. And then I do want to thank, because we don't thank them enough, because we're always thinking of the other side of it, but the Cincinnati Red and the Cleveland Indians showed up for autograph signing. And that meant a great deal to the young players. So I just want to thank them for that. So, City Manager, I'm going to turn it over to you for your report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I actually have a couple of items under my communications. The first would be talking about spring training. We have the results in. We'll get this out to you in the weekly report. But just as a recap, we had a record attendance this year, almost 137,000 in attendance, so that is our best year yet. And I won't go through all the details, but we ranged anywhere from 20 to 24% in all categories as far as topping previous year's records. That's everything from ticket revenue, concession, sales, sponsorship, team shop, parking. But the total gross revenues this year were $4.36 million, and that is up 22% over last year. So very, very great job by the ballpark staff and by the volunteers and all that make that possible. So just wanted to mention that. The other is our own Nathan Torres, who is a ballpark manager. He was asked by the Cactus League. Cactus League was asked to be, was inducted into the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame on March 29th. And the Arizona Cactus League president asked a few people that he felt really epitomized the hard work of Cactus League. And one of those individuals that they selected to actually be part of the ceremony was Nathan Torres. So very, very big deal for him to be there. Just to put it in perspective, the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame 2012 class members were, people you've never heard of, like Jake Plummer, Misty Hyman, the swimmer, Tim Salmon, Rodney Peete. And they actually, that was tongue-in-cheek, by the way. Hall of Fame was established in '57, and it's a long list of folks that have really done amazing things in sports in Arizona. So if you see Nathan, congratulate him. That was quite an honor for him to be part of that. It is National Telecommunications Week, so if you see any of our telecommunications operators, give them a shout out. You know, they do a lot of work behind the scenes. Obviously, they're They're that reassuring voice that's on the other line, and they just do an incredible job day in and day out under a lot of pressure, and it's a time to just recognize their efforts, and we'll certainly be doing that this week. Arizona Sky Kids, just as a reminder, that will be taking place this Saturday. And I know that there are several of you that are looking at participating, but that's an incredible event for special needs kids. Actually go up in the air and really look forward to their experiences, expecting about 400 to 500 people that will be at that event. The other item is and I'll have him stand up, and that will be Jack Friedline, who's our interim Public Works Director. So there's Jack Friedline. Jack is, he came to us by way of the working with Paul Wenbert as one of our consultants for Public Works. And as part of that, Jack is, as he's finishing up that assignment, he'll be sitting in that chair up until we're looking at September 7th. He'll be able to take the helms of the Public Works Department during that time, strictly as an interim. He has no interest in being in that position. He is retired. He left City of Mesa 11 months ago, and he really likes that, but he's already established a great liking for Goodyear and to help us out. But he has over 35 years in the business. His positions were in Buffalo, New York, Phoenix, Arizona, Mesa for a number of years, where he actually, these are all in public works capacities, and he retired as a deputy city manager in Mesa most recently. So very excited to have him on board. I think a number of you had an opportunity to meet him. So Jack, welcome, and look forward to you working with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the one follow-up item that I had was in focus. It was a recommendation to look at how we could highlight the volunteers. We'll certainly look at an ability to do that. So we'll certainly take that and run with it to the extent that we can get that in. Not sure when that'll happen, but it's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Does council have any inquiries of the city manager? Councilman, Vice Mayor Osborne?
Yeah, Brian, at our last work session when we were discussing the budget, I had asked the question about how you were going to be giving credit to our overachieving workers and our shining stars. And I know that at that time you guys said you were working on this. Is this something that we will hear about as a council before we go into any kind of voting regarding our budget and the 5%? All of those things that we've been discussing, will we have that answer?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Osborne, it's called the project or the Performance Evaluation Team, and that is the internal group that's working on that right now. In fact, they had another meeting today. We will be, that will be done over time. We're looking certainly at seeing what's coming out of the group, and then we will be talking to council as far as how we'd be putting that into place. It will take some time, though, for the implementation side of things, for the training, just the integration of that to totally change how we've looked at performance evaluations in the past. The answer to your question on the 2.5% that's on the table right now, and then for employees, and also looking for the structure changes for public safety, that would not be part of this particular look at performance evaluations. So we're not looking at tying performance evaluations, although very, very important, not looking at that being part of this coming year's budget. However, it will be a very important part of what we take forward for the future. And that includes what we look at doing for hourly, for salary employees. As we look at them, we've talked about where they are in the marketplace. And that is one where we want to see what best structures we can bring back for council. And certainly at that point, performance is a big part of that. Long answer to your question. Hopefully that answered.
Well, the reason I ask it is going forward, I just don't want to see us we all know that raises need to come. We all know that there needs to be recognition. And, I just get concerned that as we go forward, if we don't have something in place of stating to our hardworking employees that everybody will become just, I don't want to say mediocre, but we'll just go with the flow, and I don't want to see that occur. And so that's why, I'm really wanting to hear what's going to be coming forward as a plan to recognize the ones that do go above and beyond. And I don't want that lost. And I understand it's going to take time, but at the same time, it was like, well, I get concerned that we're doing things that won't show our appreciation for the ones that do work hard. My last question, and Mr. Massey, this kind of may go into areas that I'm not allowed to ask, but I'm going to ask it. It's kind of an HR question. Okay. When we've had employees that have retired, have moved on, whatever, and also those same people that have left the city are people that have been tied in some form to a lawsuit or to investigations or to things like that. Once those people are no longer employed with the city, and we find things moving forward that actually did occur while they were working for us, do we put within their files things that have occurred? I know I can't give examples to you in the public, but do we make sure that there is not a past employee that goes off and applies for some other city and our records look clean and they come to us and say, hey, give us information on, employee Smith. But we know that there are things going on that we found out after they no longer work for us. I'm trying to explain it. Does that information get into their files even though they no longer work for us? But we have found out since then things that they did wrong.
Are they defensible? I mean,
and I don't know. So that's why I'm asking that question.
The lawyer should answer that.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, typically what goes into a personnel file is what occurs during the course of their employment.
We can't hear you. Can
I
you
said
talk
typically
closer?
what goes into your personnel file is something that occurs within your term of your employment. I think I kind of understand where you're going. Our general practice is after they separate from employment, our personnel file is closed. So anything that happens subsequent is not included in the personnel file, but I'll double check that with HR and get back with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting, and the next meeting will be April 16th. Meeting adjourned.